There's not a very exciting story, I'm afraid. It's not it's not like a great reason, but it was just Chris and a couple of the guys who were in the band originally were just chatting about different band names and settled upon it, didn't you?
I think it was sort of like had a nice sound to it, and it was short. Basically, I think that's sort of why we went for it. Yeah, but that's basically it. Yeah,
special. Yeah, I mean, well, you can tell the story of the original lineup if you like.
Yeah, well, we've had a few different lineup changes under the name Scholars. Myself and the drummer are sort of the only two original members, but we only really started to do stuff when we got Sam in after about a year, and then we had a whole new raft of songs. We added a guitarist a couple of years ago, and recently our old original guitarist left, and we've got another guitarist now. So there has been a few changes, but yeah, I think definitely we feel that everyone's happy now.
Yeah, everyone's settled in. I mean, Ethan is the newest member, so he is still on probation, and if he does anything wrong, he'll be straight out. So no, we haven't settled. Not quite. Yes. Not until he's proven himself.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, he's all right. Yeah. I think he'll be all right. 3-4 months in total, do you think?
Yeah, we didn't do it all in one stint. We basically did the bass and drums over a few days. Up in Leicester we did that. And then the rest of it we sort of did chunks here and there, like fitting in sort of what with our own availability and also with our producers' availability. Probably from beginning to end it might have even been more like sort of 6 months. By the time we'd sort of got, from going in to getting actually the final mastered thing, we're happy with it. So we did take our time over it, but we're happy with how it turned out.
Yeah. We have actually, because the album is kind of a collection of a lot of the songs we've done since the kind of the 6 years we've been in the more or less the current lineup that we're in now. So there's a lot of stuff that we have played live already. There are some songs that we've purposefully never really played live purely because we're kind of aware that they're, maybe a little bit of a slower song or something that a little bit different, a little bit of a curveball that people might not be so into live until they've kind of heard it on record. So we've got a couple of songs that people definitely won't have heard on there. Certainly, probably about 4 or 5, I think. But then the rest of them are ones that are kind of favourites in the set that people know. So it'll be a mixed bag of both, really. Blinder data. Yeah. Right. It's if you've ever seen Adam and Joe, it's something that Adam Buxton says it's a catchphrase, but it's because the song is about a Lonely Hearts column, so it's I kind of related it to the just blind date, the whole sort of black business. So. The video was actually Mark's, our manager's kind of initial kind of idea, and then it was kind of finalised by us and by Carl Shanahan, who produced the video. And it was what was the original thought behind it?
Well, basically, we were sort of like having a band meeting, and Mark said he had this idea for a video, and as soon as he said it, we all sort of thought that would work really nicely with this song. And then our guitarist Cal, he goes, well, my mum works at a girls' school, I could probably ask her. And he went and spoke to her, and we got in touch with the headmistress, and there was a bit of back and forth, and we had to go and have a meeting with the headmistress, which was quite scary. And then before we knew it, it was like, it was all going ahead, and we could do it. We had we ended up having 3 days at the school, sort of basically having the run of the place, which didn't always please all the teachers. But yes, it was one of those things where it was a crazy idea, and then we realised that we were allowed to do it and we would be able to make it happen. Yeah. So it sort of came together like that.
Yeah. You learn constantly all the time when you're on the road, especially when you're supporting really good bands. And last year we had the opportunity to support Pure Love, Canterbury. We played with Mallory Knox and some really cool bands last year. And I think when you watch them live, there are bits and pieces that you pick up on. You think that's really cool, you know, and that's you know, the way that, especially the way that, you know, like Mallory Knox were engaging the crowd, and you know, some of Pure Love's kind of energy and stage presence, and I think you pick up on that a lot. I don't think we've really been given much kind of solid advice in words from anyone, really. I think we have bits and pieces, but I can't think of anything.
It's really interesting, like when you're on tour with other bands, just to like exchange experiences. It sounds a bit weird, but like it's a bit of a funny lifestyle, particularly like if you like we are, where we're having to make it work with doing other stuff as well, and we're sort of in this weird position. So you can just talk to people for ages about stuff like, you know, trying to book tours and how that can be quite hard, and like, you know, you can moan a little bit about losing all the money, and like sort of. We were talking to someone earlier on today, a guy we know, and just moaning on about, like, you know, and you sort of things people write online and how you have to restrain yourself from saying anything back to them. And it's quite nice, like, when you kind of play with other bands a lot and you kind of develop friendships, just like you get, as a particular bond you get, which is really nice.
This guy. I don't have a driving license, so I spend a lot of time chilling out in the back with my feet up. So Chris does a lot, Mike, the drummer, does a lot, and our manager Mark does a few stints from time to time as well, and especially when we're in the right vehicles. Is he? He's not insured in this. Is he?
He is, yeah.
Oh, you are?
Just hasn't done any driving.
Yeah, just haven't done any driving.
But no, it's all right. Like we share it pretty equally, because sometimes we do some pretty hardcore drives, and you can't have one person doing it.
This is one I expect, isn't it, down here?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mission. But we like going where other bands fear to tread, I think.
At the moment, obviously, the Pure Love album has been spinning for me. I'm really into Tegan and Sarah, their new albums. I've been listening to a lot. New Everything album. Trying to think what else is new that's out at the moment. Mallory Knox album, been listening to a lot. And I think my all-time favourite band are Death Cab for Cutie. I take a lot of influence especially from lyrics from them. So,
like personally, this year I really like the Basement album. It's sort of punk band who sort of blew up and then subsequently split up, which was a bit depressing because I never got to see them, but they released an album which was really, really good. All-time favourite album is a difficult one. My favourite band is probably the Dismemberment Plan, who are sort of a Washington DC quirky indie band thing, and their album, which I can't think of the name of, Emergency and I. There you go. That is probably my favourite album of all time.
I always cite this, but the favourite thing I've ever heard anyone say is that we're like at the drive-in playing songs by the Smiths. I really like that analogy, because it's kind of, do focus a lot on songwriting, but then at the same time, you know, we try and get a kind of energy going live and kind of a raucous sound. So it's nice to have those two.
I think that's probably still like the best comparison we've had. I think at our heart we are sort of a bit of a punk band. Like we don't really fit that well with the punk scene, but like our sort of live energy, and I think the way we approach things there's a lot of that in it. But then at the same time we have, you know, like we say, we put a lot of emphasis on the songwriting.
We just have massive respect for decent songs, I think, from any genre. Just like, if it's a good song, it's a good song, and you know, even if it's kind of classic pop songwriting, there are some amazing pop songs, and we're not shy about kind of admitting that. So definitely. Just an embarrassing thing. We went to. Is it embarrassing? Disappointing. We went to Hartlepool, which is one of our favourite places to play, just because the people there are just completely nuts and amazing. And we went to play a festival there called Pitch Invasion, and we hired a van, because we don't usually do kind of really long away shows on a one-off, because obviously it costs to hire a van or pay petrol for it. But we'd hired this van and gone all the way up to Hartlepool, which is kind of near Newcastle, in this van, and got there, and the festival was amazing, and there were all these kids and wearing our t-shirts, and it was just crazy. And we'd set up and we were ready to play, and then some kids outside got arrested for drinking and fighting or whatever they were doing, and they shut down the whole stage. So we just stood there,
literally with instruments, ready
seconds
to go.
away from playing, and then had to drive back several hours from Hartlepool, having not played. So that was fairly embarrassing.
That was pretty horrific. Yeah, I'm trying to think if we've had anything else that's sort of embarrassing. I mean, I remember in the early days we played a gig in someone's back garden. It was sort of like a birthday party for someone, for our drummer's friend. I was reluctant to do this at the time, I recall, but Mike said, "I'll be fine." And it was a tiny little gazebo, and we were there.
There were a lot of mums and dads.
There were a lot of mums and dads and kids. And I remember feeling acutely embarrassed about that, because we move around a lot, we're quite raucous, couldn't really do that in this little gazebo in someone's back garden on a nice summer's day.
No.
So we just sort of played like that. It was alright.
Our manager Mark is the kind of brains behind our kind of booking stuff, and he's a bit of a genius when it comes to getting his shows. We've come back purely because the venue we played last time is amazing. It's just the greatest kind of little cupboard of a venue that we've ever played in. We love the fact that it's kind of small and it's kind of you could have a really raucous time in there. So we've come back particularly for that, I think.
I think basically like our general ethos is if people like us somewhere and there's a call for us to go back, we'll do everything we can to go back. Sometimes we can't, like if we can't get a sort of a promoter or venue that will have us, then we're not going to be able to make it work. But we will do everything we can if if people want to come and see us, because that's what you want as a band. You want people to be kind of
it doesn't matter where it is,
singing your songs. So like it really is. It's a bit like that. Like if people want to see us, buy a local promoter and hopefully they'll put us on, and we'll be there.
Yeah.
In a big way, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, people will say, we'll actually send out messages on Facebook saying, where do you want us to come and play? And people say where they want us to come and play, and if, no one from somewhere in the UK wants to see us, then we won't bother. Where you want to go.
Exactly, and I think it's a bit of a weird thing. I was thinking about this earlier on. It's weird these days that you can get so much feedback online from all different places, and you can really minutely track every sort of little development that happens. Like you can on Twitter, for example, you could search so many different things, and it's quite weird, really. Like the amount of information you can get online. Like you've got a band, and I can just only imagine that 10 years ago, you'd go and you'd do these tours and you'd play these gigs and you wouldn't really have any idea how well you'd gone down or anything until you went back the next time. Yeah. And then you'd see it, but like now you can just...
I suppose ignorance was bliss, really.
Ignorance was bliss, yeah. Exactly.
You can tell people don't like it. Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah, no, luckily we don't have much of that at all. People seem to really take to us when in the places we played generally, so down here was great, so that's why we've come back. Who most like the support or have as much support? I think we've already ticked a couple of boxes because we've supported 100 Reasons, which is the most amazing thing. I personally would be well up for. I'll probably be up for My Chemical Romance or something like that. Kind of a big band that kind of do big venues that we could play to lots and lots of people. That'd be really good, and I quite like them as well. I think they're good. And then I suppose in terms of musical. Styles. I don't know. Who do you want to support?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, there's two sort of ways of looking at it.
Sorry, Cursive.
Cursive, yeah. They're sort of another kind of indie band from the States. They're like me and Sam love them sort of not long ago. They're sort of a big influence, I think, on what we do. We'd love to support them. But yeah, like in terms of kind of exposure, like someone like we'd love to tour with Biffy Clyro because I sort of think there's a little bit of commonality there as well. But it's just getting on Biffy's radar. They're very doing alright for themselves these days. So.
Yeah, we have not really live, but we've done a couple of sessions where we did a cover of Deftones track, which we were little bit apprehensive about, because it's kind of like, you know, you could murder a classic quite easily. But it went down quite well. People were really digging it, and we actually had somebody ask on the first day of this tour, like, "Oh, I thought you were going to do the Deftones cover." And it's like, no, we don't really play it live, but. Yeah, have we ever done any covers live? We've done a couple of Christmas songs live.
Yeah, it's become a bit of a tradition. Every year we record a Christmas song, a Christmas cover, and like we've actually got quite an alright canon sort of building there. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's quite nice. Like basically, you know,
we love Christmas.
and music-wise, like everyone sort of stops around December, like nothing much goes on. So we always think, you know, we keep it ticking over. We'll record this Christmas cover. We usually do. I think we usually do quite a good job of it.
Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do. We've recorded quite a few covers, but we very rarely play covers live, basically.
They're always available around Christmas, and then I think they hibernate again till.
Yeah, exactly.
You can always listen to them on, I think it's our SoundCloud around Christmas time. They might still be up now, I think. Are they?
No, I don't think they are. I mean, I think
you don't want to listen to them until Christmas anyway. So if you come to SoundCloud /Scholars, is it? Or I think.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
around Christmas,
Scholars.
then yeah, you can listen to it.
But like all the other covers, yeah, we're going to probably... they're sort of online at the time that we're sort of plugging them. The Deftones cover was Back to School, which we did a sort of Back to School tour in September. But we're probably going to get them online fairly soon and stick them up so people can check them out.
I have been listening to Toto recently, constantly, and I really want to cover Hold the Line by Toto. I don't think anyone else wants to, but I do.
I don't know, it's weird, like I think for so long we've been like, we get very focused on writing songs. It's not, I'll be honest, it's not the thing that comes that easy to us, like writing songs. In the past, it's taken us ages, we'll sort of like bash and bash and bash trying to write something and failing. So we've always focused on that side of it, like rather than sort of saying, oh, let's just try and like, let's play a cover for fun. But yeah, there are things we like to do, I think, you know, given the opportunity. I can't think if anything in particular. Maybe something by Blur.
A Blur cover would be cool. You know, it just depends what we need them for later on, because we're not going to start playing covers live. So you know, if we do a cover, it will be for something special or a reason why we do it. So you know, it'll be whatever comes up, I think. It's completely started with our own material from scratch. I think we'd all been in bands already. None of us, apart from the drummer who was in a covers band back when he was playing some pubs and stuff, none of us have ever really been that interested in playing other people's songs, because we're just kind of interested in writing our own stuff. Don't know whether that's a bit
nice. No, I think it's fine. I think it's weird. Like you don't. I mean, sort of as musicians, well, some people do, but like, we don't get much out of doing a cover. Like, it's quite fun when you do it, but I find it's a bit of a hollow satisfaction.
I wouldn't really want to play a cover every night of a tour, do you know what I mean? It would kind of get a bit like, oh, I'm playing someone else's song every night, and unless it was in a particularly kind of, you know, we'd made it our own or something, but I can't see that happening.
Like a band like Alien Ant Farm, like years ago, they did Smooth Criminal, and that was a song that was so big, and like personally, I wouldn't like to have been in their shoes where that is the big song, like a cover song. It feels a bit...
It was good though. Well, it used to be me, and then we had the Owen brothers join, and I'm afraid they've stolen a bit of the limelight. First it was Cal with his long hair and his facial hair, and he was getting attention from everyone from all different walks of life and ages and everything. And now that Ethan's in the band, he's just a pest. You know, the ladies love him, and he gets tons of attention. So yeah, it's not the lead singer. I'll put it that way. No.
Certainly not the bassist. It's everything really.
Invaluable tool these days. It'd be stupid. I mean, it's nice to kind of think like it would be nice in a way to kind of go, right, sod the internet, again, old school. You know, we're going to promote. We're not going to use these new technologies, but you'd be insane because you have to do it. Like that's the way that music kind of works these days. You have to use the internet. And I don't think we're not quite as you know, some bands really hammer home kind of voting for them in certain places and that kind of thing. We've only asked people to kind of do us favours a couple of times because we don't, you know, want to kind of invade people's timelines too much. But you know, you do have to play the game a little bit with the internet.
Yeah, I mean, you tread a bit of a line because you want to make sure that, you know, if people want to find out about you, that you're everywhere you can be found. But yeah, like, you don't want to overdo it. Like with Twitter and Facebook, you could just be posting all the time, say, watch this video, and like you're saying, like, vote for us on this, vote for us on this. But you got to bear in mind that, like, you're not like a marketing agency. Like, you're a band,
Right.
and you should be doing your band stuff and then promoting it.
But one thing we try and do is we try and give people cool stuff to listen to and watch, rather than just badgering them to do things for us. We try and give them something back. So every day of tour, we do an update video that people can watch, and we do, you know, when we're doing things for press and stuff, we make it an effort to go out and do. Like, we've recently done like unplugged versions of a couple of our songs, which are kind of like an unplugged version of Black and Blue just appeared on This Is Fake DIY. So we try and do stuff really, rather than just, you know, badger people for favours.
And I think that's healthy as well, because you're doing what you should do as a band, and it's sort of more healthy creatively. I think it's very easy with the internet at your fingertips to sort of lose sight of why you're doing it in the first place. Yeah. Like, you're just constantly sort of promoting this thing, and you think, no, actually, really,
you've become a brand.
Yeah, that's it.
You need to lose the R again. So.
No, we do
it. Yeah. I think even if, you know, we were some massive arena touring band, I think we'd still want to do it. I don't really like the idea of handing over to somebody else personally.
I think it's really critical, like in this day and age, when people aren't buying music as much, you need to be able to, like, give something else. So, like, if you're clever, like at shows, you don't just play the show and then go off to a dressing room or whatever. You play the show and then you try and, like, meet people and say hello to them and everything. And, like, online stuff, you sort of reply to people that say, oh yeah, we really liked you. You just have a chat with them and stuff like that, because that's the sort of thing that you can't download illegally. Like, that's what you can give that to people, and it can't be replicated any other way. And it's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
And like a lot of these bands that we've played with, Don Broco and Mallory Knox, doing really well for themselves, and you can see that they do the same thing.
And put in the hours online, and it pays off for them, definitely.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's a good one. I think we've always been a bit like it's always been a little bit of a kind of it helps to make sure that you have a coherent image and you look like a band. I think it's not good if you roll up to the show, you're all wearing different mismatched stuff, t-shirts with, you know, funny slogans on them, and you go on stage and you just look like a bunch of blokes who've just picked up a bunch of instruments. You know, we've always made an effort to look like, you know, we're in a band, we take it seriously, because I think you have to, really, especially for us. But we don't go absolutely mad with it. I mean, it's not like, you know, and not every detail is meticulously planned all the time, you know. I mean, I probably take the longest to get ready just because I faff. It's nothing to do with being vain, it's just because I take hours to do anything. But also, our guitarist Ethan is a hairdresser, so he's quite quick with you know, doing his hair, and he's cut a couple of our hairs on the road as well, so that's handy. So that helps with the image thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've always thought about it, because you sort of realise when you played a lot of shows, like with different bands, you can see straight away. You see a local band, and if they've not made any effort, they sort of shamble on, and it just, like, immediately you think, yeah, this is not going to be great. And I think it matters how you present yourself, if you're presenting yourself as a band.
It's a first impressions thing, really, isn't it? Yeah. More than anything.
One of the early sort of watershed moments in our band was when we got our drummer to chop his dreadlocks off. He had white man dreadlocks, and he was very adamant he was keeping them, and eventually he did cave into pressure. I think probably for the best. You liked them.
I liked them.
He liked them. He did.
I thought they were good.
You just wanted us to go in that reggae direction.
I did, yeah.
To veto it.
There are lots of stuff that I love, but I particularly love touring, and I love playing the show and meeting people who like our band, and that's really good. Always love people who like us. Is just like, they're always good people. I've never met a nasty person who likes our band, I don't think. So that's one of my favourite bits. Writing is really tough, but the payoff is amazing. When you've written something really good, that's really enjoyable. But the process isn't quite so fun. So touring is probably the most fun bit.
Yeah, I think on balance that's probably true to say. Just for us, like as I say, writing has been a challenge for us in the past. We're trying to like get better at it, and I think we are. But touring is one of the things that generally is sort of, you know, it's mainly good. It's mainly fun. You know, you hang about during the day. But when
sometimes there are long hours, and that's hard. But I think anyone who really complains about that isn't focusing on the right part of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, last night we played a show just, you know, in Bideford in Devon, and like at just one point you just look out and there's like loads of people going crazy, and there must have been like not huge numbers, maybe like 19, 20 people that knew the words to loads of our songs, and you just think this is thing. You know, we're quite a long way from home, and these people know, listen to all our songs and they know all the words, and you suddenly think that is a really good thing. Like, you know, that is well worth doing.
There's also recording as well, which is quite fun, and especially kind of the kind of, not the beginning stages, but the stages of kind of when the guitar's being put down and the drums are going down, and you're kind of starting to feel the songs come together. That's really exciting. Recording vocals for me is always tough because it's just a hard work. But again, that's quite fun, I suppose. Yeah, that's another good bit.
When you hear it come together. Yeah.
It's almost the opposite.
It's a funny one, yeah. We did have, we built up a little scene in our hometown, Hemel Hempstead, which is North London, and there's no venue really there at all, so we were doing shows in like a youth club. And we built up a bit of a scene there, but unfortunately after a while we had a bit of trouble and we couldn't really put any more shows on. So we sort of had to let that go. But we actually we do better in sort of far-flung places, because we've been there a few times. Like Bideford's one example, we've been there about 4 times now, and like every time it gets better, and like Hartlepool up in the northeast. Like
Margate's another great place. It's just little pockets of the UK where they just seem to have picked up on us and they like us, so yeah, it's good. I mean, we do alright in London anyway, but it is good out in kind of small towns and places that we've been. It's been really
a lot to be said for like places where big kind of other bands won't go, because people will often be more appreciative, which is quite nice. The fact that you've turned up there.
So you'll find that down this end of the country, because no one comes here at all.
It's kind of why we like it, really.
Yeah. Where other bands fear to tread.
Yeah, exactly.
The other band members.
Yeah, I see them out there now, just knocking about. It's. I mean, you know, just earlier today I had a drummer sitting on my head trying to steal my glasses and throwing my plums about the van. So those things, you know, are unavoidable. Really, you know, you do have moments where you fight a little bit in the band, and I defy any band not to get into scraps every now and then. But you know, working with other people, that's what you have to do. I think, and that especially happens when you're trying to write, you're trying to be creative, and you've got more than one brain working on the same project, because we do everything, almost everything, as a kind of communal, kind of everyone gets involved, and that's down to decisions where it comes to like picking t-shirt designs, or you know, writing music, or deciding what we're going to do for music videos or anything like that. So sometimes the debate can get heated, but that's going to happen in any band anyway. So that's the least good bit. It's still not that bad. We do it a couple of different ways. We either kind of jam things round. That's the most common thing, is to kind of bring an idea to practice. It gets kind of jammed around a little bit, and then something grows out of it as we start to all add elements into it. We have a couple of times had a song that's almost been kind of written at home, kind of acoustically or whatever, and someone brings it in, and then it gets kind of developed with the whole band in the room. But it's always a collective thing. It's never really one person doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've all sort of got to feel it. I mean, you'd have the odd occasion where like one band member will be like, I don't really like this, but everyone else will be sort of, no, this is good, we have to go with it. But it doesn't happen that often, does it? Generally, everyone's sort of like, yeah, this is working, this is good, let's go with this. Another way which we've sort of managed to write stuff in the past, one of our songs, Hydra Keys, and like the intro to that, if I recall, it was our guitarist and our drummer sort of doing a mock version of the Mars Volta, like something over technical. They were sort of joking around, going da 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 da, and we did it over and over again. And it was just like, this is ridiculous. And then suddenly you listen back and you're like, actually, that's really good.
That's really good.
So sometimes you're doing something as a joke.
We have mucked about, yeah, and songs have come out of it.
Bad for Business as well. We played one of our latest singles. Like you were literally doing that as a sort of comedy thing.
I've been listening to the Bronx, and I was like, I'm gonna sing like the Bronx, you know. And it was just like, and then you know, and you start doing it, and then you think, okay, if I tone it down a tiny bit, then it actually is good, and then you know. And that was it. And
we just like recorded a rough demo of that song, written in about 10 minutes. And I played it to our to Jane, who also manages us, and she just goes, "That's brilliant. That's really good." It's like, you think so?
Yeah. The thing is, you can spend hours and hours and hours and hours trying to come up with just one idea, and then there are times when all of a sudden you'll literally write a song in seconds.
Yeah,
it just comes together, and it's those magic moments that make the rest of the time you spend writing not quite so much of a waste of time, because otherwise there is a lot of time wasted. But it's not. It's just wading through the crap in your mind to get to the gold. Our managers Mark and Jane are really good at kind of saying that's crap, never play that again, or you know, that's all right, develop it, kind of thing, and. There have been times when we disagree, but by and large, they're right, you know, and we kind of go, yep. And as soon as you see it, as soon as they give you their point of view, you're kind of like, yeah, that's good.
And also for our album, Larry Hibbett, who produced it, he came down to a couple of rehearsals beforehand, and we just worked through all the songs, and he just said, like, you know what you want to do, you want to move that chorus there, you want to shorten that bit. So just tweaking it and honing it like that, like he was really good. The
pre-production was really important because the songs have been written over such a space of time. It was really important to kind of tweak the songs to make them work as a full album. So we did spend a lot of time doing that. I think it paid off because they work together.
Yeah, well, we've sort of staggered them over the past year, really. The first proper single off it would have been Bad for Business.
Yeah, Bad for Business.
Bad for Business, and since then we've done Blinder Data and recently Black and Blue. So we've sort of we're almost onto the third single. There'll probably be another one coming up after its release.
You won't push one of them back out again to sort of hit with the release of that?
No, I think the fact that they've already kind of been out and people have heard them and they've had press behind them and that kind of thing. So, you know, Bad for Business was quite a long time ago. That was February last year. Then Blinder was September, and then obviously Black and Blue's out now. To be honest, I mean, we kind of, when you listen to the album, there are a couple more songs that I think could work as a single, so we're not kind of stuck for singles.
We're going to see how it goes. Like, we'll put the album out there, see what sort of response we get, and like possibly put another single or two singles out. Yeah, well, one of them is the B-side for Black and Blue is a song called Wreck, which is actually an older song. We'd recorded it for the album, didn't turn out as well as we'd hoped. Still sounds really good, but so that's going to be a B-side. There's another one sort of in the bank as well.
We have plans to kind of, I mean, you know, because when you're recording, sometimes just the way things turn out, it doesn't come out quite as well as you'd hoped. So we have plans to kind of take a couple of the old ones and rejig them and see what we can do with them for album number 2. So. I have our own pockets mainly so far, and then also we've obviously we're releasing the album through Banquet Records. So although I'm not entirely sure on what they've financially they've invested in us, we've got their backing is worth its weight in gold anyway. Just having their name on it and them selling it through their store, so that's amazing. But all the recording and all the press and everything has been, Chris has personally put a lot into it. But we've all tried to share the costs as much as possible.
I think, I mean, we just we juggle full-time jobs as well. Well, sort of full-time. It's full-time, but then like we take lots of time off and we make stuff happen. But yeah, it's out of our own pocket, I think. but you kind of need to these days. It's increasingly hard to do. I'm just, to be like, I'm just in a band, unless you happen to have like parents or sort of bankroll you to the ends of the earth, which I don't think any of us have.
Nope.
So.
Yeah, they're all more or less quite boring, really. Mine is I'm a digital marketing exec, which is just updating a website. So it's not as fancy as it sounds.
I work for like a kind of research project, which I mainly work from home, and which means I can also work on tour. So it's very flexible and quite good. The others, Cal works in studio. Mike he works for a charity, and he also
he's an inventory
he's
clerk.
an inventory clerk. So he basically, if you've ever rented accommodation, he'll be the kind of guy that comes in and goes, "Hang on a minute, what have you done with that frying pan? You need to pay up."
That microwave's estate.
That's him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Ethan is
a freelance hairdresser.
Freelance hairdresser. So if you want anyone wants any haircuts,
yeah.
He's your man.
Yeah.
He's very cheap. And
anywhere near London, he'll travel. He's very good. So yeah,
it's an example of his work.
It's a nightmare. It's just trying to sort out time off is always the bane of any person trying to balance work and being in a band. But we've managed it most of the time. So
we've never had to. I don't think we've ever had to turn down anything really good. Like you weigh it up. You basically say, "Is this going to be worth
becoming unemployed for?"
Yeah, exactly. Like our man here, he took a hit a couple of years back. Don Broco, a big band that we know quite well and doing very well for themselves. We had a 3-week tour with them a couple of years ago, and you had to quit your job to do it.
Back in a job basically, but it wasn't the greatest job in the world. So it wasn't.
But yeah, we've had to do stuff like that. I sound quite lucky with mine. But what you do is we've all tended to sort of gravitate towards getting flexible jobs that we know will work with the band, rather than saying, right, I'm going to do this job and then I can't get time off of the band. So it's a balance. It's a fine balance.
It's interesting. Be in any other band.
It's hard. It sort of goes back to the thing we were saying about covers, because I almost wouldn't want to be in any other band. I like that I'm in this band, and my ideas for songs and my input and everything is what goes ahead. I wouldn't like to suddenly be like airlifted into another band and just be playing their parts. I'd get a bit from that. Obviously, it'd be fun if it was my favourite bands. But I wouldn't get that much.
You wouldn't get the same satisfaction as you do. I mean, if you're talking about if I was going to start like a dream side project, it would be, probably like me and Ben Gibbard in some kind of like depressing indie thing, just because it'd be different from Scholars. I'd be able to write some kind of ballads, and it'd be good. And I think he probably should contact me about doing that. But
got the blow.
Yeah, but apart from that, no, there's not anyone really. I don't want to be in anyone else's band. No disrespect to any other bands. Album comes out. Always Lead, Never Follow. It's called. Comes out on the 8th of April, and obviously it can be pre-ordered now through Banquet Records. It's online. Single Black and Blue is officially released on the 1st of April as well. Video is online now at scholarstheband.com. And I think that's about it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, thanks very much.